Are you ready for this?
As I'll ever be.
Great. In that case, let's begin. Load Bearing Beams is the name of the show, and my name's Matt Stokes, and I host the show alongside my beloved wife.
And co-host. You're the host, I'm the co-host. Lacey Roth.
You're a host too. There's not only one host.
I'm your co-host. And you're
we
my
are
co-host.
each other's co-hosts, but both hosts.
I was just trying to get in your craw, man.
You're successful getting into my crawl already.
I'm in your crawl
agitated.
space. Yep, I'm the sand in your pearl. Nope.
But what else is new?
I'm the sand in your clam. Any day, baby.
We interrupted watching the Friends reunion to do this.
That's how much we love this podcast.
And I was glad because the Friends reunion was giving me a lot of anxiety.
What, like my award show anxiety?
I feel, yeah, maybe like that. Because I was thinking, I was surprised that you wanted to watch it. I didn't know you were a big Friends fan in your past.
Who wasn't? I'm individually a fan of... There's not one person in that cast that I didn't watch their movies afterward. I loved all of them.
You seen Run, Fat Boy, Run, the film directed by David Schwimmer, starring Simon Pegg?
I didn't say I watched their directorial debuts. I wasn't into directors until you, and I'm barely into them now. I need the face.
So you liked that show, but it's never been a show.
Of course.
Oh, tons of people who aren't white don't like Friends.
Oh, that makes sense.
But it's definitely a show that
you didn't know it was one of my shows?
No, because we've never watched it together. But I loved it when I was young.
I've digested it so thoroughly and seen every episode so much. It has never been something I feel like I needed to rewatch. And my hunch was that it wouldn't hold up. A lot of the things I thought were funny then, in the way that it hurts to watch early aught and 90s movies now.
Yeah.
So, I think I saw myself too much in that show, just in how I felt like I was a lot like Phoebe.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it would be more personal if I were laughing at inappropriate things now.
You saw yourself as a Phoebe. You're more of a Monica.
Yeah, I see that.
And who am I?
But I always felt third rung. And Phoebe was always like, out of the women. They even announced them today that same way with Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox. You could say it's in alphabetical order.
It is in alphabetical order. I've always been amazed at the symmetry of the way the cast goes in alphabetical order and in the opening credits. And Jennifer Aniston goes first and David Schwimmer goes last. Chandler and Monica are next in, and they're a pair. Mm-hmm. And then Joey and Phoebe are not a pair, although they're sort of spiritually a pair.
They're spiritually a pair.
I always thought, that's cool.
And you weren't wrong.
And it is.
Okay. Well, anyway, I always felt like the... I don't know. Like that would be my place. I thought of the other two as more leading women, even though I realized no one was supposed to be the lead. But they seemed more leading. In the same way that Chandler and Ross seemed to lead more than Joey. Which is why they're spirit pairing. He was the more simple character, so was she. I mean, they were made as they weren't the intelligent ones of the group. They were the ones that were flighty and just straight up dumb in some situations.
I feel like Phoebe's the only one who couldn't reasonably call it a lead. She just by definition has to be like a supporting character, whereas any of the others could, I think, slot in as a lead character of a show.
Oh, you're saying you couldn't see her be a lead? I have seen her be a lead.
Phoebe Buffay, not Lisa Kudrow.
Oh.
Lisa Kudrow.
Yes, because she needs direction. She needs anchoring.
But she's the silliest. She's the least realistic person.
That is what I mean. She needs an adult.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's like 4 straight men although they're all comedians. So it's like there's no straight man, but then there's 4 adults to the 2 kids is how it always seemed.
But why did this make me uncomfortable to watch?
I didn't care.
Oh, but you asked me.
I didn't. Did I? Okay,
Yeah.
I care now though.
I like you. I'm waiting for somebody to fuck up. I'm uncomfortable by how forced this all seems, and
it doesn't seem forced to me at all.
It's so forced.
What do you mean?
It's so contrived.
Who's being forced to be
sitting
there?
on their sofa in front of the fountains, and
yeah, that part's
they have. I feel uncomfortable for all like the guests, like the casino worker who comes back, who's Joey's hand twin.
Okay, but he had Reno 911. He's not any. Yeah. Okay, I feel bad for the upstairs neighbor.
I feel bad
felt
for
weird
Tom
for Tom
Selleck.
Selleck.
Yeah.
Those parts, and then the barbershop quartet, all of that little pageantry stuff, just to fill up time. Like, just make it shorter. None of us are here to see that.
Yeah, just have the people
Remember
talk to each
this?
other, or keep playing this fun trivia game. Why does everything has to be a celebrity cameo? Everything has to be, how can we make this the most viral marketing moment thing? But also, I think the main thing that makes me uncomfortable is it seems like some of them want to be there less than others.
Well, that's always going to be the case with 6 people, right?
Yeah.
And and you didn't say, but did Matthew LeBlanc have a drug situation? Why does that? Not Matthew LeBlanc. I'm sorry, Matthew Perry.
Yes, prescription pills, I believe.
And that was like.
I think that was overlapped with the series.
Because
I'm
if I
not a-
had to guess, he does seem like the odd man out. Everyone else seems much more connected. He
Yes.
seems like he's got some stuff he's not saying, or any
Some
stuff.
demons.
And if he just, well, not that. And he had just had dental surgery, he said, and like, it takes years to look right after major dental surgery.
He joked, they're all like, we keep in constant contact, and we keep in constant MailChimp. And he's like, I never hear from anybody. And then everybody laughs, but we both thought, like, well, he's telling that doesn't seem like a joke.
Yeah, he didn't smile after it all. It was just like, yep, well. And then he tries to like say something nice to Joey while they're sitting alone in their chairs.
That was great.
And then it wasn't great.
It was
hurt.
awesome.
And then Joey's just like, yeah, this is great.
He
'Cause
said, it's so good to see you, Matt.
so
and
good
Matt
to see you again, man.
says,
Yeah,
Matt
this is
says,
great.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, this is great.
And then Rachel freaking interrupts for the 80th time. Who knew how hyper she was? She is more of a Monica vibe in real life.
I always felt like, no, never mind. This is not Friends Cast. This is Marriage Cast. And we're here to talk about the film Loser. Why? Because it's a load-bearing beam. What
Because
does
you're
that mean?
just a teenage dirtbag, baby. You're welcome. A Load-Bearing Beam is a movie that you imprinted on in Twilight language. It mattered a lot to you growing up, maybe because of access to not many things, or you identified with it. Whatever it is, you watched it a whole lot, and it seems impossible that someone your same age or even not didn't see it. So when someone says, what movie? And then you feel compelled to make them feel stupid for not having seen it and show it to them. And then you realize, oh, I was dumb. Right. Anyway, Load-Bearing Beam, part of the foundation of your making. You're
Speaking
welcome.
of Twilight, you'll recall 3 years ago we watched all 5 Twilight movies because we were like, we gotta do an episode of Load-Bearing Beams
Yeah.
about this. It'll be so fun. We watched all 5 movies, read all 4 books.
We did.
For whatever reason, never recorded that episode, and then the idea totally went away. Now, recently, a week and a half ago, we watched all 5 movies again with Macy, our 10-year-old. And we were like, we gotta talk about these.
Did
Or
I?
I was thinking like, we have to bring these. These are so weird and fascinating, and there's so much grist on that chisel, but they're just evaporated from my brain. It's so weird that these movies
They're
disappear
vapor.
so fast.
Because they pull
when they're
out all
over.
of your, like, hormones. They're, like, angst. Or at least they do they work very well on my femaleness. Of making me feel like, oh, it's so important that he knows that I love him. Oh, I hope he kisses me. Why does he think I smell? Like, it just puts me right back in a place where I'm thinking about things that aren't super important, but they're all that matter in the entire world. And maybe that's why they're so short-lived, because it's a lot.
But also, only like 2 of the movies / books are about that.
But all of them feel that way to me.
But I
Because
was.
there's always the Jacob thing to tie up.
But in the movies, so I'm just talking about the movies here.
Me too.
In the 5th movie, once they do all their big battle with the other vampires, and then the movie ends in Edward and Bella in a field together, and I thought, that's weird. This movie hasn't been about them at all. Why is it now like, and this is how we wrap up our series. This is what it's always been about. But it feels to me like actually it has not been about these 2 at all. their relationship hasn't mattered really since the first movie or the second movie.
You're coming at it from like a writing standpoint, and it's funny because I think the entire thing is about them. They're all I think about the entire time. Everything
Even
else
at
is
the
peripheral.
end?
Especially at the end.
Because like there's a part where you think Edward's dead, or that he's going to die when he falls down into like the chasm. The earth opens, and there is like a second where you're like, wait, what, is Edward gonna die? And what's weird is when I thought that, I was like, oh yeah, he could die, just because at this point he seems so disposable, and the series has veered so far away from him being important at all.
That's interesting. I don't agree at all.
But let's fight.
Oh, okay. Yep.
All right, we're coming back after a fight that we just had. We shared a lot, we
won.
grew a lot.
I need a beer.
All right, I'll vamp. I'll cullen while you go get beer. But I guess now we are talking about Twilight, so here are a few other thoughts I have. Here are a few other thoughts I have. One. Could I have one, please, two?
You're vamping.
One.
You haven't said anything yet.
No, when I say it, you'll be like, whoa.
Still not saying. You suck at this.
This is a conservative wet dream. It's all about family, and family loves you, and you can get married and then have awesome hot sex, which, yeah, I'm all for that. But it is ultimately just like, I'm going to be accepted into a nice family who loves me so nice, and I'm going to live with their parents, and then we're going to have a cottage that's like a few steps away.
Here's the grossest part. When Edward says that he's old-fashioned, which, I mean, yeah, I guess, because you're 100 years old, it's not that old, vampire years anyway, but then he says something about he cares about her virtue, like, even if you don't. Like, bitch, I'm a hormonal teenager, which you have not been for decades. Tell me that you're going to protect my virtue by not having sex with me on this bed right now.
Yeah, that's one of
We haven't been
the
married yet.
handful of really creepy things going on in these movies that, and maybe the point is that it's creepy and that you're like, oh, but I like how creepy it is.
I was not creeped out at all when I first read the books. When I watched the 2 times I watched movies all the way through, this was the worst. This is my 3rd time. And it's like, oh yeah.
I did want to keep stopping it
Problems.
and say to Macy, like,
This is not what you want in a
Yes.
relationship. No one should watch you sleep. You should be able to have human time all the time.
a man saying he's all about protecting your virtue, or just like, I just want to keep you safe,
Just
that's a red flag.
Protecting at all, right? Because then you can do anything you decide is necessary, or at least use it as an excuse for bad behavior.
Yep. And then Jacob, whose whole thing is like, I'll never stop fighting for you. And she's like, but please, could you just not? Because I just want to be friends. And he's like, no, I'll never stop
I'm a wolf.
fighting for you.
You saw Maggie's face or whatever, Emily's face. I'm a wolf. I'll fight. You could look like that, Bella. Oh, don't worry. I was only passionately in love with your egg. That was going to grow into the imprinted thing that
Yeah,
I
even
did.
it's like, why do we have to understand that, like, actually, he loved her, it wasn't real love, he just loved that growing inside her were the particular particles that would eventually become her baby that he would fall in
That's
love
how
with.
strong imprinting is. Not only was
Yeah,
he...
but why is that
so-
interesting from a story perspective?
Well, they needed to do something nice with Jacob. They needed to give him just as good of an ending, and they did.
But why does it have to,
It had to happen.
to invalidate his
Oh,
feelings
right, their
for her?
feeling. Well, because you would say that in the 4th movie, or the 3rd, I don't know if it's 4th, the 3rd or the 4th, they are really into each other. Well, and they have to explain Bill like kissing him, right? She's like way into him, extra hard.
No, she's not.
Whatever.
She's never into him.
She seems it.
She has that one moment.
I'm never into
Oh,
him.
you know what? Okay. So I like these movies. It seems like I like them more than you because you said you didn't like them this time.
Love them.
You
What?
said this was the hardest time.
Yeah, for the things that were problematic. I love them.
Oh, okay.
God, you don't understand me.
No.
Like Friends. I love these movies.
Good thing it's all coming out. And we're back.
It has come out. You just don't hear it. Man.
Now we're back again after another fight that I've edited out.
I've got 2 tickets to It sounds like you're taking a deep breath so you can sing like a lady.
No, but
Nope.
now I've forgotten the amazing Twilight point I was going to make.
But you really like them.
I hate this episode.
What the fuck?
We're now moving on, I guess, to talk about Friends. No,
Why?
Twilight.
How
no.
about the movie we're here to talk about?
The movie we're here to talk about, probably the least consequential movie we've ever covered on Load Bearing Beams. There is no information about this movie on the internet. I looked and looked. I'd like to know something about its production before we talk about
There
it.
were a slew of teenager-focused movies around this time. I mean, it seemed like it was the heyday, maybe because I was a teenager during the time. But can you tell me, like, where it fell in the filmography of this genre? Road Trip, American Pie,
Okay, so
Cheese, all that.
so the writer-director is Amy Heckerling. She is 5 years removed from doing Clueless, a film we've covered on the podcast. This is the first movie I've picked that was directed by a woman. I suck.
Yeah, why did you pick one by a woman? You suck.
I suck in that it's
I
taken
get
4
it.
years to pick a movie by a woman.
Don't worry, it's
But-
really misogynistic, so that made up for it.
Is it?
Yes.
Or is it just about misogyny?
That's a good point, but I mean, yeah, I guess the best friend I deserve to be with you in your pants or nothing at all. Like, I mean, that's a huge theme in this, but I think that was before we as a culture knew that was abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, the movie doesn't seem aware that this is... The movie's on his side. Like,
Yes.
you should be with him. He's so nice to
oh
you.
yes, oh yeah, that's the only thing I think it does wrong in that it glorifies a bad behavior. I think that makes very clear that the professor is a dirtbag and the three guys are. Anyway, it gets that wrong. But so many movies I love do. It takes like intelligent writing to show angst and love and desire and caring about something without doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Without stalking.
I was hoping that it would have all that stuff. I was hoping that we'd be like, ooh, we've uncovered like a forgotten... Really, this movie's like so much smarter than you would remember, and it's really cutting deep and digging into some real issues, but on the surface it's just
Wait.
this
But that's why you have to give it context.
situated. Yeah.
Yes, please situate it.
So it's 2000.
Just tell me all that came before and after, dude. I don't need all this.
Jason Biggs and Mina Suvari had
Dude.
been in... What? Will you let me talk?
Do it different. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Had been in American Pie the previous year. What, you want other teenage comedies?
Yes, Oh my god, it was an onslaught of teenage comedies around
Can't
this
Hardly
time.
Wait was 98. Like 10 Things I Hate About You, I think 99.
Yeah, I mean, what about Road Trip?
That was 2000.
She's all that.
I think that was earlier than Loser.
What's the other ones?
That was 99.
But like all these have the same kind of people going in and out of them, and they all seem like. Oh, and then Scary Movie. I'd put that there too. I mean, there's just.
Why?
Well, because it's a bunch of teens having in a comedy, even though it's supposed to be a Scary Movie parody. What it is a funny movie with teens in it. And Bunny House is probably one of the later ones, or House Bunny.
House Bunny, yeah.
But I expected this movie to be much more silly and gross.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about that. It's about two people who aren't either of those things, who were just like wide-eyed and sweet and caring, finding each other and finding a place in the big city. And I thought it was kind of a refreshing sort of thing you might... Everything else is always about like a makeover and about making two people into something they're not. This movie didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them had to change substantially to find love. They just had to find each other.
That's what's good about it.
It's what's
And I
very
think
different
that,
from
I
it.
think that when I saw this movie, my mom dropped me and my brother off at the Palace Theater
Went for a pack of
in
smokes.
Harahan, and we
And-
got to see a
oh.
double feature. We saw X-Men, and then we saw Loser. And Loser had a profound effect on me, on
Okay.
12-year-old me, in that it made me cringe constantly when I thought about it because I felt so bad for Jason Biggs' character because he was so nice and the world was rejecting his niceness. And I resolved to be a nicer person because of it.
You wanted to be the biggest loser before that show existed?
I didn't think he was actually a loser. I thought Or I was just paying attention to that one part of him. He is just nice. His grandpa gives him money, so he quietly slips it back.
He dances with his sister
I wanted to do
when
something like that one
right.
day.
He dances with his sister and isn't embarrassed and isn't a dick to his little sister.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just a thing that he does. It's nothing to it.
Yep.
And so and you think, he shows up in this city and he's already, how nervous he is. He's already said that he's not interested in putting on airs. He's just trying to. He's going to look at everybody in the eyes and listen to their story like his dad told him to do. And you think he's going to become jaded. He's going to become mean. This is going to be about the hardening of him and then the softening up once he meets somebody that's right. But no.
Yeah, you're right.
He does not. He gets a little bit more realistic. And I think the turning point is when the three jerks who he lives with call him into what would that be? Not a teacher's assistant. Who would that be? Someone the dormitory.
What is it called?
Living assistant. The assisted living person.
What the hell is that called? The dorm. He's a little older student who runs the dorm.
Right. The dorm master.
The dorm master. They go to the
dungeon.
dorm master. Yeah.
Yes, and they're all lying, and it would be so easy for him to freak out and say no, but he just decides right then, like, I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to make this less awkward by not pushing back. And he makes it, I don't know, it's an interesting choice.
It is interesting. And yeah, this is not Paddington where his warmth of spirit changes everybody around him for the better.
Right.
He doesn't bring his small town folksiness and teaches these big city weirdos how things are really done in real America.
Right.
Those are all good things. But this movie's bad for lots of other reasons
It's got
that are
every
hard for me to pin
kind
down.
of well, it's just got every kind of wrong thing. It says the R word, and then says, "Do you know it all?" I mean, then it even says the. It's just I don't. Want
But
to talk
okay,
about that
a movie can be good and still have that stuff in it, and like, I don't like that stuff, but it was 2000, and that was
Yeah.
in every movie. And a movie can have bad values and still be good, but it's. I was so confused by the movie, and you were annoyed at how confused I was because
I thought it was delightful.
I was like, "This, what's like a really confusing movie? Like Usual Suspects or something?" Like
I
I felt
don't
like
find that movie confusing.
but it's notoriously like hard to follow and hard to track.
No, it's not.
I promise the reputation of that movie is very confusing movie.
I love that movie. Let's do that one. But okay, all right. It's funny because where were you going instead of where it was taking you? I don't understand where you got lost.
I felt like I needed like that kind. I felt like I was watching a confusing movie on that level because I'm like, what? So many dark things are happening and none of it is being treated as dark. And is that the point, or is this 2000? But it's Amy Heckerling. She's a smart woman. She wouldn't have. She knows what's going on. But is she just like galaxy brain? Dealing with all this stuff, but no, in the end, nothing seems to.
Roofing was totally acceptable. Like, if you were a guy that slipped someone something in their drink, you were just a rascal. I mean, like, of course it's supposed to seem really bad in this movie, but like they're letting you know it's not right, and these guys are douchebags for thinking they can just drug a bunch of women, but they're not criminals, and they never even treated them like they would be. They never thought they were going to go to jail for anything. The guy committing statutory rape, the professor, never thought he was going to go to jail for anything. He just thought he was going to get like hassled. Like that is what it was like to be a teenage girl at that time. You just needed to try not to get roofied. So
But
yeah,
knowing that it was written and directed by a woman made me think like she has to know how fucked up all of this is.
Of course you do, but you don't think that you can not have that. There was no like awakening yet.
No. You can say this thing that is very casual is actually really horrific, and I'm going to make a movie about that. I'm going to have that in my movie and not have it be this thing that's just part of campus culture. And the teacher's going to be having sex with a minor, and it's not just like a standard teacher-student romance, but he's literally having sex with a minor and is going to go to jail, but he doesn't seem that worried about it.
Okay, this is a teen movie. It's not supposed to be any of that. But it is supposed to not reward that behavior, and it doesn't. Those guys, that's why they do the hacky thing at the end where they tell you where they are now at the end of, what happens to them in the future. And they all have horrific futures. That's how she deals with it, with like poetic justice.
Okay.
What do you want her to do?
I've seen that. All I'm saying is I'm saying all of this to explain why I was confused because I couldn't get a handle on what the movie was trying to be. And in the end, it's actually really simple. It's just trying to be like a sweet little.
Yes, it's a rom-com. You know what would have helped you? If we would have watched 2 or 3 other ones to show you. What's crazy? I have no memory of this movie except for the sewn-in boxers into the jeans, just because that actually existed then. And that's because there was more going on with it, where I could tell you word for word some of the other movies we listed, and scene by scene, where my brain doesn't work like that, but...
But you had seen this, I think you said you'd only seen this once.
Once. That's true. And for whatever reason, I didn't find it something I needed to watch over and over again, where the other ones I did.
With me, just completing my story with me in this movie, a few years after I saw it in theaters, we rented the VHS, and like, did you ever have a time, this still happens to me actually, because I get stuff from the library, where you like get depressed and don't return something?
I don't know if I do it from, like, and you put it in the back of your car.
No. I got depressed and didn't return the movie, and instead watched it 50 times. Knowing how many late fees I was accruing, never being like, this is my favorite movie, never thinking, I should buy this movie, but for some reason, I'm not returning this. I've accepted.
So are you saying that in order to make up for the fact that you're going to pay some extra fees, you make yourself watch a movie?
No, I just kind of watched it because it was there, but was too like disinterested to put the gears into motion to return the movie. But that's the time when I saw this movie over and over and over again.
Never had this sensation.
Okay.
But you were a person driving, renting movies, and watching them by yourself.
I think it was before I was driving age.
So was it your fault that it didn't get returned then?
Yeah, because I need to go to my mom and be like, we gotta return this.
My mom remembered that shit. She didn't want the fees.
Yeah,
It's
well,
the one thing she did.
It was my account, and I would have had
You
to
had
pay
your
for
own
the...
account, you precious boy.
Yeah, because I'm renting movies all the time, bruh.
I wasn't.
At
bruh.
Video Biz.
This is why my genre is the 80s. I had to catch things on the TV. You were renting things way more often than me.
I did, and I watched lots of movies on TV, but it was Turner Classic Movies.
Right.
Here's what appealed to me, I think, about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I, too, was a loser. Although, he's not a loser. Well, he kind of is a loser. He sucks.
What?
But, we'll get back to that.
Will we?
Probably not. I think I just like the part where they're in the veterinary clinic together, and I was like, that'd be nice if like a girl had to live with me for a few days.
I used to think about stuff like that too. Because when
Yeah.
you're a kid and you can't imagine that part of your life, but you can't imagine getting stuck with someone and just kind of pretending like, honey,
Yep.
I'm home.
Yep.
Like that whole, I can't think of another movie that really makes that happen, but I know I always like it when I see it.
And that was really the only stretch of the movie that I really loved. Up until he comes home with his pizza. Even that pizza looks amazing. He goes and rents videos from the video
Pizza
store.
does look amazing.
Looked great. I know with Dread coming, he's going to come home and she's going to be like, isn't that great? My professor came back
Stop
to
with
get
that
me.
voice.
And I'm just so happy going back. She sucks too, right?
I like her a lot.
Yeah. But, okay. So, this movie is about Jason Biggs in his big star. He's leading. This is American Pie is an ensemble. This is Jason Biggs' movie.
Very true.
And on the poster, he's putting a big L up on his forehead.
Oh.
I'm a loser, baby. And what a loser he is, because he comes from the country, or the mountains, unspecified where he comes from. But it's small town.
There's a
And
goat in his yard.
he gets a scholarship to go to an unspecified New York City university.
Yeah. He's on the meal plan. I always like that. I mean, I like that touch.
I do too. I like the poverty that you get a look at. This of students' poverty, eating honey from.
Well, in the different
packets.
ways it could happen, right? Like someone works their ass off and has a good GPA, but they live in fear of dropping that GPA,
Mm-hmm.
or you got accepted, don't have a tuition, so you have to make all that money, but you can get some C's every now and then.
Yep.
With her, Bridge and Tunnel Girls.
He meets his roommates. They're all like, "Who the fuck is this twerp?"
I could not figure out the living situation. Like, what kind of dorm has 3 rooms
I
to a
don't know.
room? The common room and then each bedroom plus the discotheque.
Yeah, the only dorm I know is the one dorm I lived in for 1 year, and it was just one
room with a
with
bed
2
on each
beds in it.
side.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only other way I've ever, except for like Harry Potter, that's the only other way I've ever seen university living was the one room, bed on either side. And this made no sense to me, the situation.
But he lives with 3 crazy dudes. You've got
It's incredible.
Zach Orth as Adam, Tom Sadowski as Chris, and good old Jimmy Simpson as Noah.
Isn't it kind of breathtaking how individually creepy and differently creepy all 3 of them? I mean, that's I don't know what they're going for there, but like I am disgusted immediately. They all give me the creeps. They all make me feel roofied. They all make me feel seen through.
Yeah, I also felt like, well, one, you probably disagree, but Jimmy Simpson and the other guy, the other skinny guy, they looked exactly alike to me.
Yeah, very
And
similar.
I'm confused about why movies do that. I want everybody in movies to look as different from each other as possible.
Casting people don't normally have face blindness. That probably goes
Yeah, but they
against
should
them.
understand that people watching might.
I didn't know that existed till I met you and Denise.
I remember Milos Forman when in the behind the scenes making of Amadeus was complaining about how when he watches movies, too many of the characters look alike. And as a 16-year-old watching this, I was like, finally, I am seen. Because I, too, can never tell the difference between people when I'm watching them on screen. But these guys, like, they have, like, all of the traits of bad kids.
Bad kids. I didn't get that they were rich for a minute. Like, that's not something that's obvious until they're all in the salon for some reason.
They're goths, but they're skaters.
They're not goths.
But
No, they're not skaters.
but
they're
they go to salons.
No. They are club kids. That is a specific kind of raver. And I think it's part of what made me creeped out. There used to be this store called the Verve in Esplanade Mall, and I knew I could afford Gadzooks, but I knew I could not afford the Verve because I was a goth raver.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could buy just one thing from that store, it meant something about you. And for the 9th grade, we still didn't have a dress code, so anyone could wear anything. And it's just like, my shit was from Mervyn's and like one pair of Jinkos that I wore almost every single day. And there was just something so elitist about that spiky backpack that one guy has, the platform shoes, those colored glasses that are like a yellow tint. It's just the most kind of posh spectacle of a way to dress that it instantly made me feel inferior to look at it.
So this made sense for the time.
It absolutely,
This
yeah.
is
It
not
said
just
something very specific.
Mad Libs.
And it was a bit cluelessy of her to do that, to make it colorful, to make it the wardrobe interesting. You know, the female lead is a goth, so she's got interesting clothing, but she wears the same thing a lot, and she wears black. So I guess she had to put that aesthetic on someone.
Jason Biggs, sort of like...
You're a mile away from your microphone.
Sorry, Jason Biggs for he's got Rachel Weisz in the Mummy Syndrome in that he's falling down constantly for the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then that totally goes away. That trait, he falls down the stairs in one class, and all the kids laugh at him. But then he gets up and sits down and next to Mina Savari, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Oh, it's so nice of you to ask." And she's like, "Let me put my ice on it," and she puts her Frappuccino cup on his knee, and he's like, he gets a boner, and he sees that she has an Everclear sticker on her notebook, and he's like, "I'm gonna file that information away for later."
and there just has to be a concert tomorrow.
Yes, there is.
That
note.
poor child who has $30 at all times, got 2 tickets for Iron Maiden, babe. But anyway.
And then
interesting,
when he's
he
at
had
the
my-
concert, he's like, "I'll take a shirt. You know what?
Make it 2. Those shirts are at least $25 each.
And how do you know what size she wears?
Just tiny. And he got like he didn't even look at the size. He's like, extra large. Where does a sleeve
Yeah, he
shirt?
got 2 sweatshirts, 2 Everclear jogging suits. A note about, I mean, if there's anything that this movie is remembered for, and I'm only talking about me, if there's anything this movie is remembered for by me, it is
Your
its
Lord Mary
soundtrack.
Meat. It's a really good soundtrack. Wait. What was your point? In
Of
the
what?
falling down, the Everclear, were you going
My
somewhere
point
with
was that he has Rachel Weisz and the mummy syndrome. He
I don't-
falls down a lot.
that? Oh, okay.
Oh, but I'm slowly walking us through the plot. But I have an aside here, and it's about the music.
Yeah.
And this movie technically has an original score, but actually it has like 30 needle drops to songs.
Needle drops.
That's where just suddenly whoop, song plays.
They're all good. I'd listen to that soundtrack.
I mean, the soundtrack is catnip for me. I love all this bullshit. You get SR-71 doing Right Here, Right Now. Clings to me like cellophane. You get She's so high above me. You get Foo Fighters Aurora. You get you get Blink-182.
Just take some. No, that's
No, it just takes some time.
that's Jimmy Eat World.
But the big song opening the movie is Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus. We will talk at length about Wheatus later in this podcast.
We can later. Jesus
This
fuck.
is going to be a 2-hour episode, I think.
For you alone, I gotta go watch Lost.
I'm pulling up. I have lots of notes that people have sent me about Wheatus.
People have sent you these notes.
I told them, hey, I'm talking loser on the pod. And they're
Oh.
like, say nothing else. My Wheatus thoughts are coming.
A poor man's Weezer is all I've got, but I still enjoy them.
Well, stuff to say about that, too. Do you hear that? You hear that?
Yes, it's because you put your phone by the fucking wires.
Oh, that's right. Wow. Okay. So, Dora. What's the deal with Dora, Nina Savari? Mm-hmm. Tell us.
But she's wide-eyed and adorable, and she's interesting looking but beautiful.
She's 17.
There's something very unique about her look. She was in. Were you asking me what the appeal is? I love her in this
tell
movie.
walk me through what's going on with her character. What is her?
Well, okay,
What's
so
her story?
She's from a borough, so she's not in the city, but she has to commute every day to this prestigious university she's in. She's got to work to make her tuition, so she has to work at a bar, but that's far away and it's hard for her to get home. But I like that we kind of walk in on the middle of her just happening to have a year-long relationship with a professor whose class she's in for some fucking reason. I mean, would you be in this class 2 years in a row? Doesn't matter.
She's been in college for 2 years.
1 year. But I mean, your class isn't a year long.
So 2 semesters long.
Why would she have the same professor? Doesn't matter.
Maybe he taught a different class to her the first
Thank
semester.
you. That's helpful.
But this is the
You and
beginning
your
semester.
college.
She's 17 years old. That's weird.
She said she said all year. She said all year. Guess that could mean.
School year.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just like in. All right. I like that it's not a heavy load. Her affair. He's a dick. You see the appeal. You see why she'd be with him, but
I'd be with him.
But you instantly don't like him.
No, I do.
I don't. He's got too many one-liners, but he is funny. He is intelligent. But I've been with a person who's constantly trying to make me smarter, more interesting, more like everything's a fucking lesson. It's exhausting.
Sorry.
It's not you cunt. So I mean, I instantly know, like, okay, yeah, we don't need to like this guy.
But Greg
What are
Kinnear,
you trying to ask me? I love Greg Kinnear.
he's the best part of the movie, right?
He's the most grown-up part of the movie.
He's the best performance in the movie, right?
Yeah.
He's
Because
very funny.
Okay.
As a dick, he's owning how much of a dick he is. He's like
Yeah.
delighted by how much of a dick he is.
Yeah.
Not just the Greg Kinnear, but the character, Professor Alcott,
Yeah.
is in love with how much of an asshole he is.
Yes, he loves him some him.
He wakes up and he's like, ooh, can't wait to be an asshole today. Good
Who's
day."
gonna want to fuck this Bernay?
She is having an affair with him. She's like, won't you date me in the open? And he's like, no, I can't because I might get in trouble. My career could be imperiled. Not, I will go to prison for being a pedophile.
Okay,
This
you want a
17-year-old
lot
thing
from
is
You
weird.
want a lot from this movie. Yes, because it has to have higher stakes, I guess, than just dating a student. I don't know.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
All right, so Jason Biggs is Paul. Paul's roommates conspire to get him kicked out of the dorm because they don't like him because he never brings home Sixers. He doesn't even know what a Sixer is.
It's a basketball player.
Yeah. He's like, a sixer? You talking Dr. J? And they're like, no, we're talking brew dogs, dude.
Bruskowski's, man.
And he's like, Bruce Skowski's, what are you talking about? Oh, but
Yeah.
later he buys beers, implying that he's 21.
Yeah, he didn't have
And he wants to date Mina Savari, who's 17.
Why would he be 21
He's-
just going to college, though?
He wouldn't be. But how does he
So-
buy those brew dogs?
I guess they don't make a big deal because he's just the brewmaster.
I guess
Let's keep going with this.
he's a brewmaster.
He gets
So
some Bruskophagai.
he just, okay, he knows, he's not very street smart, but he knows how to charm his way into...
It was easier to get underage beer then than it would be now. Now it's unheard of.
He's also very casually carrying this six-pack through the halls of
Right,
the dorm. He goes
into
and
his
meets with
dungeon
the
master.
Yeah, meets with the dungeon master. The dungeon
With it on
master's
his
not
lap.
like, you have beers. You're kicked out of school forever.
No, I like that it didn't come up. Like, it was just like, well, he's owning all the things they're saying about him. Let's not comment on the big sixer in
Yep.
his lap.
He gets
What is your
transferred.
point?
I don't know. I'm walking us through the movie.
Oh,
This is for those who haven't seen it, because no one listening has seen this movie.
that's not true. Anyone our age probably has.
This was a bomb at the box office. It has no shelf life.
There were no penis
It
jokes.
has made no cultural impact. So you agree with me then? There's no oral history of this movie. Like every
That is
fucking
interesting.
every fucking shitty movie from the 90s 2000s,
Yeah.
there's like a ringer article
It was too
about.
nice. It was, and the dicks, the guys that normally like the stiflers who would do the inappropriate things, but they were totally likable, and you'd watch movies because of them. The dicks were too dickish, too unlikable in this movie, except for Professor Alcott. But who wants to like a grown up? Ew. And then the good guys were too good. They're just like, okay, you guys are sweet.
You're right. And that's why
There wasn't anything for a teenage brain to stick onto, except for like, that's nice. I
Except
hope
for mine.
I hope I meet an impossibly nice, optimistic person one day.
yep.
Tell me when they exist.
Well, he walks next to Dora, and he's like, "Hey, do you like this band, Everclear?"
Who's he?
Paul. And she's like, "I love them, my favorite." And he's like, "I got these 2 tickets. You wanna go?" And she's like, I've got I might have some job interviews, but maybe afterward." And he's like, "Great, okay." But she doesn't have job interviews. She's just dropping off applications, and the people are like, "You can't work here. You're a girl."
She was answering the paper. What do you call it when you're going to a fucking packy store? Like,
She didn't.
that stands for package store, which is
Okay.
what they call it in New York, man.
Okay.
I'm sorry you don't know things like
I
that.
was worried you were making a racial slur.
No, that's not what that means.
Okay, continue.
Oh my god. Anyway, if you circle shit in the newspaper and then you call and say, "Hey, can I come fill out this application? Do I fit this mold or whatever?" That's why she got aggravated at all three, or the one you see, because they didn't say when they talked to her or in the ad that they wouldn't hire a girl.
Well, they can't. That's illegal. You can't put it in writing.
Wow, okay, thanks so much. But what I'm saying is, I don't know, what else I'm gonna go apply for 3 jobs.
I'm trying to pick apart the logic of this movie. That's what I'm trying to
Why?
do. I don't know. We got to say something.
We said a lot.
Not enough.
Talk
Well-
about your weedus.
No.
Why?
She is at the liquor store trying to get a job, and she runs into one of Jason Biggs' ne'er-do-well former roommates who is having a swinging drug party at Jason Biggs' new veterinary house. And she's like, "I guess I'll go to that." And she goes to that and gets roofied, but the guy who's going to rape her then decides to go hook up with a different lady, and so leaves her, and then she passes out, and then Jason Biggs comes home and he's like, "I'm so bummed that Dora never showed up. Wait, Dora's in my toilet." And takes her to the hospital, and they're like, "Sir, she's passed out, she's not going to wake up for 18 hours, but we're going to put her out on the street now." And he's like, "No, don't do that. She can come with me." And she does. And a beautiful
And they-
romance begins.
And they play cute little house, little
But
pretend
wait.
house.
Oh, this is another thing that bothers me.
Okay.
She wakes up in the bed, and she's just like, "Oh, hey." And he's like,
Hey, you.
"Hey, you're up. How do you feel?" And she's like, "I'm good."
Right, it's like, did I?
Doesn't ask, like, "Wait, what the I got drugged, so I didn't end up on a
Again.
date with you, but now you're here? What I didn't even know your name."
I need you to calm down. Again, that day and age, you were lucky if you got out of that era in your life not roofied. She's accepting invitations at liquor stores to fucking veterinarian parties.
I am
She worked at a
acknowledging
strip
that.
club.
I'm acknowledging that. What I'm saying is she should be like, that's pretty weird coincidence that I was going to go on a date with you.
Well, that
Instead,
is
I got roofied, but then somehow still ended
Yes.
up living in your veterinary house.
And also, can I have my Everclear sweatshirt now, or whatever the hell it's called?
Exactly.
Yeah,
What do you think of Everclear?
I liked Everclear growing up. I mean, I liked when you were supposed to. Father of mine. That's them, right?
It sure is.
It sure is. Oh, right.
Yeah, I did some Everclear. They're like a band that I should have loved, but they just kind of missed me. But yeah, every song I hear by them, I'm like, God damn it, I like this.
I know.
'Cause I'm an idiot.
And I like the way that guy looks.
Art Alexakis.
I like his name too.
Yep. And they make a cameo in this movie. How'd they get them? Also showing up in a cameo, Dan Aykroyd, David Spade.
Why?
Andy
There are a
Dick.
lot of Andy Dick and David Spade in the same movie. It's kind of one or the other.
Proof that they're not the same person, although they're not on screen at the same time.
True.
So, even though it's funny, I also always associate them with each other, even though they're not really anything alike.
Nothing alike, but there's something nasally and annoyed and flamboyant, but and funny and perfectly timed. It's just Andy Dick is gross. I mean, like he goes for the gross out comedy.
I guess I liked that, yeah, but that just didn't seem like it belonged in the movie. Him like choking prunes onto her. What kind of movie is this?
It's not. Well, it's probably one of those things where and then Andy Dick's in it, and he just does whatever.
He's gonna do his Andy Dick thing. I'm okay. I'm gonna chalk that up to studio hackery. But
Yes.
let Amy do her thing. She knows what she's doing. Isn't Look Who's Talking one of your movies?
Yeah,
She did that movie.
the first one and not the second one.
Both of them. And she did Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That was her big breakout movie.
Yeah.
I've never seen. I assume
Good.
it can't be good.
It's good.
How could
I
it
don't
be
know if
good?
it holds up, but I liked it a lot.
All right.
It was not on. It was. There's not as much heart in it, and there's some more. There's more. You know my thing about kids being too mean to each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of that in it, just a tinge bit higher than my I need all sweet bonding moments
Sure.
at all times. So yeah, it was on the outer side of my favorites, but still one I liked.
Yeah. All right. Maybe it sounds good. Well, I know you're sick of doing this podcast.
Wheatus!
Jason Biggs.
Fucking get to Wheatus! Why? I can't believe you're making me beg to hear about Wheatus.
But we have to explain what happens in the rest of the movie.
Why? When have we ever done that?
We're doing it for this movie because no one's ever seen it.
They're not going to care.
All right, well, they end up together. They shouldn't, though, because he sucks. All right, here's another thing. He would not be unpopular. He would make friends.
So he doesn't need her. So
No, that's
why-
not what I'm saying.
Oh.
But he shows up at school, and I'm saying anywhere in the world, if you were that earnest and nice and open to talking
Yeah.
to people, yeah, you'd miss, but you'd cast a big net, and lots of people would end up liking you and talking to you. That's all. I am nothing like him. Instead, I just never say anything to anybody, and therefore never make friends. But he would make friends. He's not really that big of a loser, but he sucks. Because
Gosh.
she just wants to be friends with him, and he's like, but you're with him. You're with Greg Kinnear. So, that's okay. That's all. All right, Wheatus.
Jesus Christ.
Wheatus. Well, here's the... What,
Lead us to Wheatus.
what can you say about Wheatus? Wheatus, their name is very similar to Weezer.
Isn't it?
Their front man has glasses and has big Rivers Cuomo energy, although he seems more normal.
More like a little river. Yeah.
Weezer, my favorite band of all time. I think that to other people, Weezer might just be Wheatus. It's like this band. Yeah, they had like one song, right? And like,
Jesus
one song?
Christ.
Jesus, no.
Jesus, Wheatus?
Oh, but is Weezer just Everclear?
No. What?
Had a few hits in the 90s and that's it?
Can't
No, I
think of Weezer that way. They've had so many hits.
I mean, they've had hits
and then they've
in the
resurged.
2000s.
And then they pop back up. They've got longevity.
Okay.
They just had one 2 years ago, that summertime one that was like popular.
And yeah, they did.
They always
Africa.
managed to. Okay. But they always managed to like pull something out of each album that people like in general.
Not each album, but it every
whatever.
few years something will. Okay.
They've got longevity. They're interesting. Anyone that weird is interesting. usually.
He's not he sucks. Rivers Cuomo, the more you learn about him, the more he sucks.
It's a lot of pressure on him to be interesting. He's just good at music. Can you just let him do that?
He's not that good at music.
What in the actual hell fuck?
So Wheatus has this song, Teenage Dirtbag.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
That was not a big song,
No, it wasn't.
like in terms of like chart performances, but its music video was on all the time in the summer of 2000. The video has Jason Biggs and Mina Suvari in it. They're in high school, and he's just a teenage dirtbag.
A weird switcheroo.
But among certain people, this is a big song. Now, my friend Patrick and my brother Elliot went to see Wheatus play in Metairie, Louisiana in 2006 at a venue called The High Ground. Now, The High Ground is a place that my band played. So poor Wheatus. But
Wait, is it a teen club, or do you have to have an ID?
no, you don't. No,
So it doesn't sell alcohol?
no, I don't think it did.
'Cause
No,
that-
you.
I'm thinking
all
of-
ages. You could go into.
What street was it on?
You might remember it as Cypress Hall.
Cypress Hall. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That was one of the only places you could go to see
Yeah.
a band, and if you weren't 18 or older.
Well, Elliot and Patrick
I've seen many bands play there.
went to see Wheatus,
Cannot believe they played there.
and yeah, I saw Portugal the Man there. I mean, like 10 years before they
It's weird.
became giant, but yeah. They went to see Wheatus because like Wheatus, that's funny.
Yeah.
Maybe they play Teenage Dirtbag. They did. They said there were like 10 other people there, and it was kind of sad, but also they were like, they fucking ruled. It was amazing.
Can you imagine
They
playing
bought
your
their
heart out
CD.
for 10 minutes for 10 people?
Yeah.
That's fucking good.
They
I like
bought their
that.
CD, Suck Phony, which was an album that they released to get out of their Sony contract.
Ha!
And
I get it.
and they shared that album with me, and I listened to it, and I was like, oh, this is good. It never became something that I listened to regularly, but it's like, oh, okay, they have lots of good songs. They're very
You
talented.
can imagine it in something about it being in person makes
I
it
bet
so
it would
much
be
better.
delightful in
Yes.
person, yes.
I would be dancing my ass off.
These two later went to another show of Wheatus's because Wheatus returned to the High Ground for a triumphant second act, and this time they were singing all the songs and requesting songs, and he was like, "Oh, the band was moved to tears, and
Aw.
they were just so grateful because all their shows had been like, all right, listen, we're going to play Teenage Dirtbag, but that's going to be at the end. So until then, is there anything else you'd like to hear us play?" And yeah, they were engaged, and let's see. So what did Patrick say?
Oh, you don't have it queued up?
I have it queued up.
Can you do it in his voice?
No,
Oh.
unfortunately.
Do you want me to? I've got to.
They both pointed out that he played, and this is
They
something they're
both,
remembering,
Elliot and your best friend Patrick.
pointed out 15 years later that the singer, guitar player of Wheatus played an acoustic guitar, but ran it through a distortion pedal, which was unusual. It is unusual.
unusual.
I said I was going to say more about Wheatus. That's all I got.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Well,
I thought you had like
okay.
Nope. I just thought there'd be more.
The
But if you
more
weren't
is
inspired to say it, then I don't want to hear it.
the more is it's weird that that this band exists that is so similar to Weezer. That's all. Good song though, Teenage Dirtbag.
What other song do they have?
That's it.
Good for them.
They have a song called Lemonade. That's like
I've
I
got
wanna
two
be in.
lemonades to Weezer's
I thought you haven't heard
show, baby. That's it.
He even has Rivers Cuomo's shtick of like I love metal, I love Iron Maiden,
Right.
I love
'cause
like
they mentioned
dorky
Kiss.
metal. Yeah.
Yeah, dork metal. That's a really hard name to pluralize. I never noticed how hard. Try to do it again.
Rivers Cuomo's is
Did he part the red head's hair?
he did, and I think his little brother's name is Styx.
River Styx? No,
Rivers-
that's not how
Rivers-
it works. That's not, you don't keep the first name and use the no. It'd be Styx Como Stick, and then that's
No,
like,
you know how Elliot's name is
like-
Elliot Matthew.
right? You just got to keep going. Sorry. God, anyone that names their son River always has another kid that they're gonna name some sort of fucking Earth word too.
Because I was thinking, is it Leaf? Is his brother's
yeah,
name Leaf? No,
Leaf
that's
Phoenix and River Phoenix.
Leaf is the real name or the fake
of
name of Joaquin Phoenix.
No,
I can never remember
no,
which
Leaf is
one's
the
which.
real name of Joaquin.
Joaquin
Phoenix.
Phoenix's real name is Leaf.
Yes, because his brother's real name was River Phoenix.
I don't think either of those is a real name.
What?
Let's
Oh,
look it
they
up.
both get together and just have super cool,
Yes.
stupid names.
You know what Joaquin Phoenix does for fun? He goes and
Curls
gets,
his lip.
gets his like butt chugged by a colonic.
I don't know that.
He and
Someone drinks his butthole.
no, they don't drink it. No, but they're like these clinics that like hippie
I
people go
know.
to, and they're like, "Give me a big giant enema," and he's like, "This is a great thing to do for fun." He goes on dates there.
Shut
Maybe
up.
it's awesome. We should try it.
I mean,
Rivers Joaquin Phoenix, Joaquin Raphael Phoenix. Yeah, no, he was not born Leaf Phoenix. Leaf Phoenix is an alter ego. Now let's try River Phoenix.
you're the one that reads stuff.
River Jude Phoenix, that's his real name. Now, I want to just have one final segment. This is a recurring
Do
segment.
something where I'm right.
Recurring.
Oh, is this play
Who's
dyslexia?
Who's the sexiest woman I know?
Meow. Nope, I ruined it. It's me though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
you
Okay,
win.
but wait, what's the recurring segment?
I intended this to be a recurring segment and then forgot about it. Do you remember our mummy episode where I asked you the very serious question, does Jesus Christ exist in this universe?
So in every movie we have to.
So from now on, we address in every movie we watch, does this movie believe in Jesus? Because in The Mummy, they've got like ancient Egyptian gods are real.
Yeah.
And I was like, these characters are all undoubtedly Christian, right? Do they question their beliefs now?
Wait.
How do they reconcile their
No,
belief in
I
Jesus?
like this question for this movie because you have this salt of the earth country boy who doesn't have a country accent. He's not country. He's just farmy. So if there were ever an opportunity to sneak in some God, if there were a person in this universe that would have religion and be that, he'd be it.
That's true, but
And
that's not the question
They
I'm
don't
asking.
spend any time on that.
The
I know you're not
question-
asking me if any of the people in this movie are religious. I'm saying that since that person was portrayed as so wholesome and from such a certain kind of background, that if God did exist in this universe, he certainly would have brought him up. And I'm saying he does not exist because the most wholesome people of wholesome people didn't say anything about him.
But that...
I win.
Okay. I'm going to say God does exist in this movie
How do you know that?
because the end of the movie has the what happened to all the characters, and it has all these guys, all these rich kids being punished for their sins.
Yeah, but that's
which
karma.
would never happen in real life where there is no God. Allegedly.
Okay, wait, let's go back movies then. What was the last movie we did?
Wild Wild West.
Oh, does God exist there? Yeah, because he says, go straight to hell, sir. What was the one before that?
No.
That's fine. Yeah.
I was going to say Twister, but no. It was a 90s movie, right? It was between Twister and Wild Wild West. It
What? Oh, Mortal Kombat?
was Mortal Kombat.
No.
Mortal Kombat, no, different gods exist in that movie, so that's easy. Twister, the god of weather, exists.
No,
in that
God
one.
exists in Twister. Twister's too, like, Kansas hometown. It's too... God's there. And the
I was
God's a
reminded
cow.
of this. We're watching Lost,
Oh,
and
we were.
and
We're 6 minutes late.
there's a lot of Jesus stuff in Lost.
God,
and there's
is there?
The most recent episode we watched
Ugh.
has like a very uplifting and moving scene
Is
where
it?
Mr. Echo baptizes Claire and Claire's baby. And it's
I've
like,
never
listen,
met-
I understand. There's a difference between the characters believing this and, you know, the show or the movie endorsing it and saying, like, no, but they believe in it because it's real. Now, I think Damon Lindelof does believe in Jesus. Well, he'd probably be like, I just believe in, like, spiritualism stuff.
What are we... Yeah. I just don't buy that a character so... asking such basic questions could be someone who would then get a baptism. But what is a baptism? I can say it. Well, damn it. Wait, how... Do you know baptism?
Will I go to hell?
What, do you know anything about Jesus? It's like, well, I mean, as much as most people.
Can Jesus keep Charlie away from my baby?
Oh, they had to have the only Australian woman constantly asking where her baby is. Too soon.
I think the thing with that dingo baby woman is that, like, That's one of those. There's probably a "you're wrong about" episode.
There
about,
is.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, not on the entire thing, but no, it's just that it was just that that a dog. It was something. No one ever said a dingo ate my or took my baby or whatever. It was just something about a wild dog.
And also that this horrific story is just this hilarious joke that everyone makes.
No, it's a real. Can we go?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, you know-
We'll see you down under.
My sheets, sex.
What? What the hell was that?
Under my sheets, sex.
We'll see you down under our sheets. Sex. See you in sex.
You bunch of insects. Nothing but bugs to me. Okay, love you. Bye.
The fuck was that?
3, 4.